You're listening to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partner Show. I'm on here with my co-host, Jeannie Roller. We're talking about healthcare situations and trying to find information for all of us, maybe get a better healthcare scenario, and have delved into so many stories, Jeannie, you and I, with people that didn't get the best healthcare, and we wonder why, and we wonder where the trust went in a lot of these medical centers, a lot of these hospitals, and with certain doctors. And you have a specific topic you want to talk about, that you were at a conference, and it was just kind of shocking to you about what this lady was saying on how we need to undividedly, implicitly trust every doctor that there is, that they're in charge, or, what verbiage did she use, Jeannie?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, that they should be totally in control and we shouldn't question them. And I'm like thinking, my belief is the patient is the head of the healthcare team for them. That I, as a patient, I go to people that I think has knowledge and skill, and I seek their advice. But ultimately, it is my decision what they do to my body. Mm-hmm. Now, I want a doctor who is confident in their skills to be able to do that. But this lady was up there, and she's a very powerful, in control lady, saying that when she goes to the doctor, she hands over her entire life over to him to do with as he sees fit. Mm-hmm. That you should trust without any question or doubt your doctor. And I'm like thinking, oh my goodness, that is just so totally wrong in my opinion, because you can't do that. You have to know what your illness is, what all the treatment options are. You just can't allow a doctor to say, hey, I think I need to cut off your arm. You need to find out, why do you think you need to cut off my arm? Is there another treatment that I could save my arm? I just don't believe in blindly handing over control to a doctor, because, you are paying them for their services. They are not doing you a favor. You are actually hiring them for your healthcare needs. Mm-hmm. So they should be no different than any other service provider that you might get service from. And I was thinking, this is just totally wrong. This is, I think, over the years, people have handed over all that to the healthcare community. And that is why I believe we have a problem, is because they are used to being in total control. They don't like people saying, no, I don't want that. I want my personal dignity. I don't want that treatment. I want to know why. They don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think part of it, too, is, so let me, address a couple of things, in my opinion, is some of it we know, and we've gotten backlash from doctors and whatever when we're Googling stuff. So there's so many jokes that are made that all of us are Google doctors now. Okay, so that's frustrating because these people are highly educated. I don't think you can argue that. I mean, they got to go to school for a lot of years and figure this stuff out. And then the other thing is it takes a certain kind of person to be, quote unquote, a good doctor, if you will. I mean, I think there's different things that go along with that. I think giving people, a certain group of people, so we're talking about doctors and nurses, maybe a little bit more leeway, a little bit more respect in that avenue of being a doctor and being a medical professional. I get that, to give them a little bit more respect. I don't know that they're the end-all, be-all, in my opinion. Maybe years ago they used to be. Maybe they just seemingly were years ago, and it was, either listen and shut up, or, we're not going to treat you kind of thing, where now we're bringing more of our input into the whole situation. It's kind of tough. I mean, if you get the right doctor, isn't it a conversation? It's a two-way conversation. Give me the facts, doctor. Yes, I, respect your opinion, and, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. But you brought something else up too, Jeannie. I mean, the specialities too. Has that thrown more of a wrench into the works of this medical atmosphere when you have so many people that are specialized, and it's like, okay, so they're going to talk up what they're good at? Where before it was like, you relied on maybe a primary care doctor that knew which one you were going to go to or which one could give you different answers. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that is part of it. I think that the other part, as we discussed off air, is that hospital systems, they buy equipment. Equipment is very expensive, like, for instance, cardiac cath equipment. So naturally, they want to have as many procedures done as they can to pay for that equipment, to pay for all the expensive training of the staff. So they want you to have the cardiac cath rather than try other methods, because the other methods will not pay for that equipment. So I think there's a conflict of interest there sometimes too. I also think that if you specialize in a certain procedure, that of course you're going to advise the patient that's what you need to have done, rather than another way to go about the same problem. So yeah, that is, but you know, there is this thing called informed consent, where you're supposed to discuss with the patient all viable treatment options, whether or not it's your specialty or not. And that's what we're not getting nowadays a lot of times, is that real, true informed consent, where they discuss the alternatives of treatment and all the risk, and doing nothing. That's the other one, to do nothing, what happens. So that's what informed consent is supposed to be. That's not, as I've seen it, a whole lot lately. So I think that this attitude that doctors are know all, end all, whatever, is wrong, and we need to take back some of the control. That yes, I think that a doctor who can do all that, tell me all the alternatives and tell me what they think is best, I would have more confidence in that doctor than one just says, you have to have this done. This is it. That doctor, to me, doesn't have the confidence then.
Well, however you want to label it. The other thing, too, is a lot of people now have been plunged into these situations that you're talking about, where they didn't get all the information and found out later on, you know, they could have done this, would have done that. And they're scared to stay in the healthcare arena, and they seek alternative medicines, alternative avenues. And so they've just been alienated. So I don't get, if you're going to be the big box medical care, which is what I've labeled it, my opinion, and everything depends on the time frame that you're not given. So, I mean, it's kind of a joke, too, that you see your actual doctor for 5 or 8 minutes or whatever it is. I mean, they'll say put it down at 20 minutes, but a lot of times I know my own personal self, I wasn't there any 20 minutes with the doctor specifically. And you don't know the questions to ask. How many times have we said that? I mean, yeah, maybe you know it afterwards. Hindsight is 20/20, but you don't know right then what to ask. So you're sitting in front of a guy that's a specialist. So do you have any questions, you know, ma'am? And you're like, well, not right now that I can think of. And that's your time slot right there. And then when you think of it, sometimes, a lot of times, it's too late. It's too late. And they haven't given you all the avenues. And you know what? You're right, Jeannie. That's another thing that's never talked about, or is not often talked about enough, is you don't have to do anything. You can do nothing. You can do nothing. Even if they tell you have cancer, you don't have to have blah, 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 blah. And as far as I know, I think I'm saying this right, basically every surgery is labeled elective surgery. I think I'm saying that the right way. There's not any surgery that I know of, and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, that is not elective. So you're making the decision. Give me the answer. Give me the input that I need, the data that I need, so I can make my own informed decision. Don't make the decision for me.
Right, exactly. And I don't think that means that you don't trust the doctor.
Right. I mean, to me, yeah.
That's what with this lady who was speaking, that's what my big issue was. That doesn't mean I don't trust them. Mm-hmm. It just means that I am the captain of my team, and I need that information. No one else should be making that for me. Yeah,
it's a tough nut to crack. I mean, how do we get back to that? Well, we are getting back. I mean, there's different avenues you can go now to, concierge medicine and, you know, different doctors and those kind of things, because the doctors themselves are in the same arena we're in, the ones that are trying to give good care, and I feel sorry for them. How many times am I going to say that? Anyway, stay tuned to Evergreen Media Network. We'll be right back.